A billionaire's death shook the city, but it was all a lie. Chief Balogun faked his own death to test the hearts of his children. Would they protect his empire with honor or destroy it with greed? In this story of betrayal, hidden tests, and shocking revelations, the truth will break a family apart. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more powerful stories. The night was thick with laughter inside Chief Balogun's dining hall. The long mahogany table stretched across the room, covered with plates of steaming food, glasses of wine, and bowls of fresh fruit. His children sat around him, arguing playfully over who had eaten the most goat meat, while the housemaids moved silently with more servings. Chief Balogun leaned back in his chair, his agbada flowing around him like a king's robe. His white beard framed a face that carried both power and pride. He raised his glass and said, "To family, my greatest treasure. May you always remain united." The children clapped half-heartedly, each lost in their own ambitions. Vincent, the eldest, winked at Gloria, already thinking about how he would one day run the family empire. Philip chewed loudly, his mind buried in debts at the gambling table. Gloria scrolled her phone under the table, more interested in the new handbag collection she wanted to import. Esther, Philip's wife, sat quietly, the only one truly listening to the old man's words. Suddenly, Chief Balogun coughed. At first, it was soft, like a tickle in the throat, but then it grew harsher, sharper, until the room went silent. He dropped his glass, and it shattered against the floor. His hands clutched his chest. "Papa!" Gloria screamed. The maids froze. Philip jumped to his feet. Vincent rushed to hold him, but Chief Balogun's body convulsed. Within moments, his head slumped to the side, his eyes half open. "Doctor! Call the doctor now!" Vincent shouted, panic flashing across his face. Minutes later, the family doctor, a trusted man in his 50s, rushed into the hall with his medical bag. He pushed the children aside and checked Balogun's pulse. He placed his stethoscope against his chest, shook his head slowly, then looked up at the family. "I'm sorry," he said gravely. "Chief Balogun is gone." A wail broke through the mansion like thunder. Gloria fell to her knees, crying uncontrollably. Philip tore his shirt in anguish. Vincent staggered back, muttering, "No, no, not Papa, not yet." Esther covered her mouth, her eyes filling with tears. Within hours, news spread across the city. Chief Emmanuel Balogun, the business tycoon, was dead. His mansion filled with mourners, friends, and business associates. Preparations for the burial began at once. But that night, when the last sympathizers had left and the compound was quiet, headlights flashed at the gate. An ambulance rolled in silently, its siren off. Neighbors assumed it had come to move the body to the mortuary. Inside the mansion, the doctor supervised carefully. Chief Balogun's body was lifted, still covered in white cloth, and placed on the stretcher. The family staff bowed their heads, thinking it was the final goodbye. But when the doors closed, the doctor whispered low, "Chief, stay still." The ambulance drove through the night. Only when they reached the outskirts of the city did Chief Balogun sit up, pale but alive. The doctor placed an oxygen mask over his face as the driver pushed on toward a hidden villa. There, away from every eye, the chief would wait and watch the storm he had created. The doctor glanced at him. "Chief, are you certain about this test? It is dangerous. They may tear each other apart." Balogun's lips tightened. "Better I see their true faces while I live than leave them blind with wealth when I'm gone. If they fail, I would rather burn it all than hand it to unworthy hands." As the car disappeared into the night, the first seeds of betrayal were already germinating back at the mansion. Vincent was whispering to Gloria about who should take charge now. Philip was drinking himself into a stupor, muttering about debts that needed to be paid. Esther sat alone in her room, praying quietly, sensing that the storm had only just begun. And in a few days, when a shabby old cleaner would walk into that mansion, none of them would suspect that he was more than he appeared. None of them would know that their father, alive and hidden, was already watching through the eyes of his most trusted ally. 3 days after the funeral rites began, the Balogun mansion felt like a marketplace of whispers. Mourners came and went, dropping condolences and carrying gossip. Vincent moved around like a temporary king, giving orders to staff he barely knew by name. Gloria floated from room to room in black lace, reminding everyone that she was Daddy's only princess. Philip hid in the study with a bottle and a racing mind. Esther kept the kitchen calm, making sure the workers ate and the guests were served. By noon, the noise had settled into an uneasy silence. That was when the front door opened softly, and a thin, elderly man stepped in. A faded cap, threadbare shirt, and a metal bucket that squeaked against the marble. He bowed low. "Good afternoon, sirs and madams. I was told to help with cleaning." Gloria's face tightened. "Who hired you?" "The agency sent him," the head housemaid answered from the hallway, wringing her hands. "We're short on hands with all the visitors." Vincent waved lazily. "Fine, but keep out of our way." The old man nodded. He moved with quiet steps, eyes lowered, as if the house itself demanded respect. He started with the foyer, wringing his rag carefully, wiping each tile like it mattered. No one noticed how his eyes lifted now and then, measuring doors, studying faces, absorbing the tension like a sponge. Minutes later, Philip came out of the study and almost tripped over the bucket. "Hey, watch it." "I'm sorry, sir," the cleaner said quickly, pulling the bucket aside. Philip scowled. "These people, always blocking the way." He brushed past. The cleaner returned to work without a word. In the living room, Gloria arranged frames on the console, picking only photos where she stood closest to her father. The cleaner approached quietly, waiting till she moved aside before dusting the edge. A single drop of water flicked from his rag onto her dress. She spun. "Are you blind?" The cleaner stepped back. "I'm sorry, madam." "Let me—" "Don't touch me," she snapped. "If you stain this fabric, you can pay for it with your life." Esther, carrying a tray of tea, paused. "It's just water, Gloria." He apologized. Gloria rolled her eyes. "You're always defending everybody. Be careful where you stand in this family." The cleaner kept his gaze down. "Please, I will be more careful." Vincent strolled in, checked his watch, and faced the staff. "Listen, all of you, this house has standards. No noise, no mistakes. If you break anything, it comes out of your pay." The cleaner nodded once. "Yes, sir." He moved on to the staircase, knees bending slowly, polishing the banister until it shone. When guests arrived, he blended into pillars and corners, invisible but present. He listened to the condolences, the calculated praises, the reckless predictions. "Vincent will take over, obviously," someone whispered. "No, no. Gloria was closest to Chief. She'll get the house. Philip? That one will sell everything by weekend." The cleaner said nothing, but every word filed itself neatly in his mind. In the afternoon, a small accident broke the calm. A young maid carrying a tray slipped on her own nerves, and the tea rattled. The cleaner, seeing it before it happened, stepped in quickly and steadied the tray with a steady hand. The cups settled. No spill. Thank you, the maid breathed. Well done, Esther added softly, surprised by his speed. The cleaner only nodded and backed away, as if saving a tray was nothing at all. Later, when most visitors had left, Gloria decided the foyer rug was crooked and ordered 2 guards to lift it. The cleaner was already adjusting the edge. Leave it, she snapped. You'll ruin it. He stepped aside, but one guard lost grip, and the rolled corner slapped Gloria's ankle. She hissed and turned her anger on the easiest target. You again, she said to the cleaner. You bring clumsiness into this house. Are you cursed? The old man bowed. Forgive me, madam, Vincent chuckled. Gloria, ignore him. Tomorrow we'll clear out half of these staff. New era, Philip watched from the staircase, eyes red-rimmed. New era, Abi. Then start by paying debts your era owes. This house isn't an ATM. Don't start, Vincent warned. Esther stepped between them. Please, people are watching. The cleaner kept moving, dusting frames, straightening chairs, wiping door handles. Others would never notice. He worked like someone restoring a shrine. No rush, no complaint, no wasted motion. By nightfall, the mansion was silent again. Vincent locked the liquor. Gloria stayed glued to her phone. Philip sank deeper into drink, and Esther prayed quietly in her room. The old cleaner folded his rag, carried his bucket to the corner, and slipped away unnoticed. The next morning, the Balogun mansion was restless. Guests still came to greet the family, but inside the walls, tension was growing. The children of Chief Balogun had not even buried their father, yet their minds were on his wealth. By mid-morning, a black car pulled into the compound. Out stepped the family lawyer, Barrister Adeyemi. He was a tall man with sharp glasses and a briefcase clutched tightly in his hand. Everyone hurried into the living room when they heard he had arrived. Vincent adjusted his suit and stood with authority. Finally, the lawyer is here. Now we can settle this matter. Once and for all, Gloria smiled proudly, patting her hair. Yes, it's time to know what Papa left for his princess. Philip dragged his chair noisily. All I know is I must get my share quickly. I have things to handle. Only Esther sat quietly, her hands folded in her lap. Barrister Adeyemi cleared his throat. Good morning, everyone. I am here to begin the process of reading Chief Balogun's will. But first, I must tell you, this is no ordinary will. The room went quiet. What do you mean by that? Gloria frowned. The lawyer adjusted his glasses. Chief Balogun gave me strict instructions. He said his wealth must only go to children who prove themselves worthy. This means there are conditions. Vincent scoffed loudly. Conditions? That's nonsense. We are his blood. Everything he owned belongs to us. Barrister Adeyemi shook his head. Not quite. The chief said, wealth in the hands of greedy children will be wasted. Only those who show humility and respect will be rewarded. The family exploded. What rubbish is this? Gloria shouted. So Papa wanted to play games? Philip growled. Vincent slammed his fist on the table. Barrister, stop talking in circles. Tell us who gets what. While they argued, the old cleaner walked quietly into the room with his mop. His back was bent, his clothes faded, and yet his eyes scanned the family sharply. He bent to clean a corner near the lawyer's chair. Hey, Gloria shouted. Why is this dirty man here again? Vincent sneered. Barrister, please, send this beggar away. This is a family meeting. But to everyone's shock, the lawyer raised his hand. He stays. The room fell silent. What did you just say? Philip asked. He stays, Barrister Adeyemi repeated. Chief Balogun himself instructed me that this man must be present when the will is read. Gloria gasped. What? That's impossible. He's just a cleaner. The lawyer looked at the cleaner briefly, then back at the family. His voice was calm, but firm. Not everything is as it seems. The siblings looked at each other, confused and angry. Only Esther kept her eyes on the old man. Something about his calmness felt strange, almost like he knew more than them all. After an hour of heated arguments, the lawyer closed his briefcase. We cannot proceed today. Chief Balogun's will demands a step-by-step process. Tomorrow, I will return to continue. He stood and left the mansion, ignoring the protests. The lawyer's car rolled out of the compound, leaving the children boiling with anger. Inside the mansion, Vincent clenched his fists. Gloria muttered curses. Philip drowned himself in wine, and Esther sat still, watching the storm of greed gather around them. The cleaner moved quietly through the hallway, his mop in hand, his eyes sharp, storing every word and every look. The Balogun mansion was quiet the next morning, but the silence was not peace. It was the heavy silence of people plotting. Each child was already thinking of ways to twist the inheritance in their own favor. Vincent sat in his study, dressed in a navy blue suit, though he had no office to go to. He tapped his fingers on the desk, staring at his phone. This lawyer wants to waste our time with stories of humility, he muttered. Nonsense. Money is what speaks. Finally, he dialed a number. Barrister Adeyemi, he said smoothly, let us meet privately. I have a proposal for you. Later that afternoon, in a quiet restaurant on the island, Vincent slid into a booth across from the lawyer. He dropped a brown envelope on the table. 10 million naira, he said confidently. If you make sure the businesses come to me, there will be another 10 after the will is settled. Barrister Adeyemi stared at him, his face unreadable. Vincent, do you think your father didn't warn me about this? He said his children would try to buy what they do not deserve. Vincent smirked. Everybody has a price, barrister, even you. The lawyer pushed the envelope back across the table. Not me. But thank you for confirming what your father feared most. Vincent's smile faltered. Are you threatening me? No, the lawyer said calmly, standing. I am only doing my job. When Vincent returned to the mansion, his face was stiff with anger. He said nothing to his siblings, but his eyes burned with frustration. Meanwhile, Gloria had her own plans. That evening, she called the lawyer and asked to meet. She chose her boutique shop as the meeting place, filled with expensive dresses and perfumes. When the lawyer arrived, she welcomed him with a warm smile and a tray of wine. Barrister, she purred, I know you are a man of wisdom. Let us be frank. My brothers are careless. Vincent is proud. Philip is reckless. I am the only one who truly deserves Papa's mansion. I can keep his legacy alive. The lawyer sighed. Gloria, your father made it clear. Inheritance is about character, not words. Gloria leaned closer. Words, character. All these things can be written. You hold the pen, don't you? She opened a small box on the table. Inside glittered a gold wristwatch and a thick wad of cash. Take this as a gift, and when the time comes, write my name beside the mansion. The lawyer closed the box firmly. Your father would weep if he saw this. Her smile slipped. So you are rejecting me too? Yes, he said, walking out, and I will not keep quiet about this attempt. Gloria's face hardened as the door shut. We shall see who wins, she hissed under her breath. What none of them knew was that both secret meetings had already been reported. When night fell, the old cleaner once again left the mansion through the side gate and rode to the villa. Inside, Chief Balogun sat waiting, the doctor by his side. The cleaner bowed. Chief, it has begun. Vincent offered money. Gloria offered gold. Both want to twist your will. Balogun's jaw tightened. He pressed his cane against the floor. So soon. I had hoped they would last longer before disgrace. The doctor shook his head. Chief, I told you. Greed has no patience. Balogun turned to the cleaner. And Esther? What of her? The cleaner's eyes softened. She said nothing today. She cooked for the staff. She served visitors with her own hands. She has not spoken a word of inheritance. Balogun exhaled slowly. Good. At least one heart may still be clean. Outside, thunder rumbled again, though the skies were clear. It was as if heaven itself was preparing for what was coming. Back at the mansion, Vincent poured himself a drink, muttering curses about the stubborn lawyer. Gloria stared at her mirror, whispering promises to herself. And Philip, drunk in the corner of the living room, laughed bitterly. All of you are fighting for wealth that is already cursed, he slurred. None of them saw the old cleaner slip past, mop in hand, his eyes watchful. They thought he was invisible. But he carried their secrets like treasures, walking steadily back to the man they thought was dead. The days after the lawyer's visit grew darker inside the Balogun mansion. Vincent sulked in his room. Gloria planned in whispers, but Philip's troubles were heavier than all of them. He sat alone in the study one night, an empty bottle rolling across the table. His head pounded. His debts had grown beyond control. Gamblers he owed were already sending men to threaten him. If I don't get money soon, he muttered, clutching his head, they will finish me. As if answering his fears, his phone rang. The name flashing on the screen made his blood run cold. It was Kunle, the man who had lent him money at the gambling den. Philip swallowed hard before picking up. Kunle, I told you, I will pay. Shut your mouth, Kunle barked. You've said that too many times. If you don't bring me something soon, we'll collect it in blood. Philip's voice shook. Just give me time. My father's will is about to be shared. Kunle laughed harshly. And what if your siblings take everything? You'll be left with nothing. Unless... His voice dropped lower. Unless you make sure they are not there to collect. Philip froze. What are you saying? You are not a fool. You know what I mean, Kunle replied coldly. One accident, one disappearance, and the fortune is yours. Philip ended the call with trembling hands. He paced the room like a trapped animal. No, I can't. But what choice do I have? He didn't know the cleaner was nearby, quietly dusting the shelves, his ears sharper than his age suggested. The cleaner's eyes narrowed. He pretended not to hear, but every word sank deep into his mind. Later that night, Philip left the mansion and drove to a dimly lit bar on the edge of town. Kunle was waiting with two rough-looking men. Their faces carried the hardness of street life. You are late, Kunle growled. Philip sat, sweat gathering on his forehead. I don't know if I can do this. Kunle leaned forward. Listen carefully. If Vincent and Gloria disappear, the lawyer has no choice but to hand you everything. You'll be the eldest standing. Think about it. You will be rich, your debt's gone, and nobody will know. One of the men slid a small packet across the table. Inside was a fine powder. A little in their drink, he said with a smirk. They'll sleep and never wake up. Philip's hands trembled as he reached for it. This is too much. Kunle grabbed his wrist. It's either them or you. Decide fast. Philip finally snatched the packet and shoved it into his pocket. He stumbled out of the bar, his mind racing. He didn't notice the cleaner slipped quietly from a corner table, following a few steps behind. When Philip reached the mansion and dropped half-drunk onto his bed, he passed out, still clutching the packet. In the silence of the night, the cleaner entered the room softly, sweeping as if on duty. He looked at the packet lying half out of Philip's pocket. The old man's eyes hardened. Slowly, carefully, he replaced the deadly powder with an identical packet, but this one filled only with ground sugar he had brought from the kitchen. He slipped the fake back into Philip's pocket and tucked the real poison into his own pouch. "Not yet," the cleaner whispered to himself. "Your test is not with death, but with your own heart." The next evening, thunder rolled over the mansion, though no rain fell. Vincent poured brandy into glasses, acting like a king already. Gloria laughed loudly, flashing her bracelets. Philip stood nearby, sweat gathering at his temples. The packet weighed heavy in his pocket, and he thought of his debts. His chest pounded like a drum. He reached for the packet, convinced it was poison, and hovered over Vincent's glass. Then Gloria's. His fingers shook. Just as he was about to open it, Esther walked in. "Let me take that tray," she said kindly, lifting it. "The guards outside haven't eaten." Philip froze. A single grain slipped onto the floor as he jerked his hand back, but it was only sugar. He clenched the packet shut, breathing hard. Esther walked away, humming softly, not knowing how close danger had come. From the corridor, the cleaner stopped sweeping. His eyes glinted as he whispered, "Sometimes the poison is not in the cup. It is already in the heart." The morning sun streamed through the tall windows of the Balogun mansion, but it did nothing to warm the coldness inside. Vincent and Gloria argued in the living room over who should handle the funeral expenses, while Philip sat in a corner, silent, his mind trapped by the dark plan hidden in his drawer. Esther moved about quietly, her heart heavy. She had seen enough in the past few days to know the family was falling apart. Only one person seemed calm in the storm, the old cleaner. No matter the insults, he never shouted. No matter the chaos, his hands worked steadily, his eyes sharp but gentle. That afternoon, Esther followed the old cleaner quietly to the back of the compound. He was sitting on a wooden stool near the staff quarters, drying his rag in the sun. "Baba," Esther said softly, "you don't behave like other cleaners. The way you look at this house, it's like you've known it for a long time." The cleaner smiled faintly. "I only know dust, my daughter. Dust tells stories if you listen." Esther shook her head. "No. The way you talk, you sound like Papa. The same proverbs, the same patience." His smile faded. For a moment, he stared at the sky. Quiet. He glanced toward the house. In a big house like this, people talk loudly and forget who is listening. "Be wise," my daughter. Esther frowned. "Who are you, really?" The cleaner folded his rag slowly. His voice dropped low. "A mirror. Nothing more. Mirrors do not speak. They only show." Before Esther could press him further, footsteps echoed in the corridor. Philip stumbled past, his eyes red from drink. He glared at them suspiciously. "What are you two whispering about?" he sneered. Esther stood quickly. "Nothing. I was only telling him to sweep faster." Philip smirked and walked away. The cleaner sighed. "Be careful, my daughter. Kindness brings both blessings and danger. Guard your heart." Esther walked back slowly, her mind troubled. She didn't have proof, but something in her spirit told her the old man was more than he appeared. That night, Esther lay awake, turning the old man's words over in her mind. Who was he really? A simple cleaner, or something more? Sleep would not come, and in her chest, She felt a quiet warning that the truth in this house was bigger than anyone dared to say aloud. The villa was quiet, far away from the noise of the Balogun mansion. The curtains were drawn, the air conditioner hummed, and in the center of the living room sat Chief Balogun, alive but hidden from the world. His cane rested beside him, and his sharp eyes followed every word as the old cleaner gave his evening report. "They do not stop fighting, Chief," the cleaner said, his voice steady. "Vincent wants to control the businesses. Gloria is obsessed with the mansion. Philip, his heart is darker than the others. He met with gamblers and took a packet he believed was poison. I removed the real poison and replaced it with ground sugar. He still thinks he has it." The family doctor gasped. "Thank God no one will be harmed." Chief Balogun's face tightened with anger. "My son, my own son, would kill for money?" The doctor placed a hand on the chief's shoulder. "This is what greed does. You wanted to test them. Now you are seeing the truth." For a moment, the old man closed his eyes, pain heavy on his face. He remembered the day he built his first shop, the sweat on his brow, the joy when his children were born. He had dreamed they would protect what he built. Instead, they were tearing it apart. The cleaner stepped forward. "But not all is rotten, Chief. Esther stands different. She treats me with respect. She feeds the workers. She defends me when the others insult." Her heart remained soft. A faint smile crossed the chief's lips. "Yes, Esther. Perhaps she is the light in this darkness." The doctor frowned. "Chief, how much longer will you hide? If things continue, someone may truly get hurt." Chief Balogun opened his eyes again, filled with steel. "No, not yet. If I return too early, their masks will stay on. I want to see their true faces, every lie, every bribe, every betrayal. Only then will I return, and my judgment will be final." The cleaner nodded. "Then we continue as planned." "But Chief, time is short. Philip's desperation grows, and Vincent and Gloria are still trying to bribe the lawyer." The chief leaned back, gripping his cane. "Good. Let them. Every act is a rope they tie around their own necks. When I come back, I will only need to pull once." Meanwhile, back at the mansion, the children of Chief Balogun were restless. Vincent paced his room, staring at a pile of unpaid bills. "If the lawyer won't listen to money, maybe he'll listen to fear," he muttered. Gloria sat before her mirror, adjusting her jewelry. She whispered to herself, "That mansion is mine. I'll make sure of it. No one will stand in my way." Philip, drunk again, stumbled through the corridor. His hand brushed the drawer where the packet of poison was hidden. He whispered, "One night, just one night, and all this will be over." And Esther, alone in her room, knelt in prayer. "God, open their eyes before it is too late. Protect us from the evil rising in this house." The mansion felt heavy with secrets. Every glance carried suspicion. Every silence carried fear. The day of the final reading arrived. The Balogun mansion was filled with tension so thick it could choke. The lawyer sat in the center of the living room, his briefcase on the table. Vincent stood behind him, impatient, his eyes sharp with hunger. Gloria sat elegantly in her black gown, pretending to grieve, while her thoughts raced toward the mansion keys. Philip leaned against the wall, pale and restless, his pocket heavy with a deadly secret. Esther sat quietly in a corner, her hands folded, her eyes steady. The old cleaner was there too, mop in hand, bent back, faded clothes. The siblings sneered at him, whispering insults, but he ignored them. His gaze swept across each face, storing every expression. Barrister Adeyemi opened the file. "Ladies and gentlemen, This is the last stage of Chief Balogun's will. After this, inheritance will be decided. Finally, Vincent muttered. Read quickly. The lawyer cleared his throat. Chief Balogun wrote that the true heirs of his empire are not chosen by birth alone, but by character. He warned that greed and arrogance will destroy this family. Gloria rolled her eyes. Enough lectures, barrister. Tell us who gets what. The lawyer adjusted his glasses. Before I reveal the names, there is one final instruction. The room grew still. Even Philip looked up. The chief wrote, the lawyer continued, if my children fail this test, if they show their hearts filled with greed, then I will return myself to deliver judgment. Everyone froze. Vincent laughed harshly. Return? That's impossible. The man is dead, Gloria scoffed. Papa loved riddles. Even in death he plays games. Philip wiped sweat from his brow, muttering under his breath. Esther leaned forward, her heart racing. She remembered her quiet talk with the cleaner. Just then, a loud knock echoed at the door. Boom, boom, boom. Everyone jumped. The lawyer looked confused. I was not expecting anyone. The knock came again, stronger. The guards hesitated, then slowly pulled open the heavy doors. Gasps filled the room. Standing in the doorway was Chief Emmanuel Balogun himself, alive, tall, firm, dressed in a simple white caftan, his walking cane tapping the floor with power. Beside him stood the family doctor, supporting him slightly. The mansion erupted in chaos. Jesus! Gloria screamed, stumbling back. Vincent staggered, his mouth open. Papa? Philip's face went pale as chalk, his lips trembling. Esther dropped to her knees, tears streaming down her cheeks. Thank you, Lord. The old cleaner straightened slowly, dropping his mop. His bent back straightened, his eyes sharp, his presence commanding. He walked toward Chief Balogun and bowed deeply. Balogun lifted his cane. Enough. Silence. The room froze. Even the walls seemed to listen. My children, Balogun said, his voice strong, you thought I was gone. You thought death had closed my eyes. But I have been watching. Every word, every action, every insult. I have seen your pride. I have seen your greed. And I have seen your darkness. Vincent shook his head in disbelief. This cannot be real. Gloria clutched her chest. Chief Balogun's cane hit the floor. The sound echoed through the living room. Vincent, he shouted, you tried to bribe the lawyer. From today, you are removed from all family business. You will start at the very bottom, working in the warehouse. No cars, no office. Only when you learn humility will you rise again. Vincent's face fell. His pride melted into shame. Gloria, Balogun's eyes burned. You offered gifts and lies to buy my mansion. From today, you will move out of this house and live with the staff. You will take care of their food and welfare. If any worker suffers under you, you fail as a daughter. Gloria gasped. Papa, you cannot do this. But her words carried no power. Philip, Balogun's voice thundered, you allowed gamblers to put poison in your hands. You almost destroyed your own family. From today, you will go into rehabilitation. Your debts will be paid only if you obey. If you refuse, you are cut off forever. Philip's knees shook. He fell to the ground, crying. Finally, Chief Balogun turned to Esther. His voice softened. Esther, while others fought for wealth, you showed kindness. You served. You respected. You prayed. From today, you will take charge of this house and oversee the new Balogun Foundation to help workers and widows. You are the true heart of this family. Tears rolled down Esther's cheeks. She knelt before him. Thank you, Papa. I will not fail you. The old cleaner stepped forward, his back straight now, his true role revealed. Chief Balogun placed a hand on his shoulder. This man you mocked was my eyes and ears. Through him, I saw your hearts. The mansion was silent. None of the children could speak. Chief Balogun raised his cane one last time. His words were final. From today, wealth is not your inheritance. Character is. Only those who change will remain in my will. The rest will be erased. Thunder rolled outside. The children lowered their heads in shame. For the first time in days, the house felt truly quiet. The end.